What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we are on the verge. We are on the verge of Premium Booster 01. That is a big hyped new set. It's coming out on Friday. It is frankly a great set, which means with that set just on the horizon, it's time we go and take a look back at OP-08. We've had this set for as long as we're pretty much going to have it by itself. We've given the prices time to stabilize, and now we need to check in on the top 10 cards of the set and see what's happening to them. Sound like a plan? Excellent. So starting off then we got a pretty clean top 10, I should tell you. And starting off at number 10, we've got the alternate art leader Marco, which is currently sitting at around about, what are we going to call this one? Let's call it $38. And I'm going to show you some graphs as we go here. And basically, the Marco's just plummeted. And honestly, it should. I tell you every set that the prices are very volatile, shall we say. When the set is released, we see that they're way too high, and then they drop down quite considerably. Marco here, it's settled at about a $38 card. That's honestly about right. $100 was absurd. This has come down quite nicely. There's only 2 alternate art leaders on the top 10 list, and Marco hasn't proven to be a particularly good leader. It's not seeing a huge amount of success. But I do see it popping up winning in Japan occasionally, and it has a huge amount of potential with both drawing and lowering power, so I'm just saying keep an eye on Marco. The other leader in the top 10 is actually Charlotte Pudding at number 9, coming in at about $39. Yes, it's very close to Marco, but we're still above. And again, we see a very similar kind of thing with the price, and that is just that the price has come down very, very sharply since the release of this set, as we would expect. Puddin is a pretty popular character, and I think there's a lot of potential here. And again, I see winning lists popping up from flagships in Japan occasionally, because, you know, you get to get more Don out, and purple and yellow is a decent color combination and all of that. But the reality is, it's not proven to be particularly good. We know it's not particularly good at this point. I'm sorry. Coming in at number 8, we've got the Treasure Rare Luffy. The Treasure Rare made the top 10. But it's like a $40 card, and we are actually going to see a little bit of a jump after Luffy here in number 8. I think this is the nicest Treasure Rare in terms of artwork that we've seen so far. And it is worth noting that this is a decently playable yellow Luffy. This is one that has made its way into a bunch of decks here and there. So, you know, you can trash the character to KO a character of a cost of 4 or less, or just KO a character of a cost of 4 or less as a trigger. It's a decent card, seen a bit to play, this makes sense. In at number 7, as far as I'm concerned, the number 1 card in the set, number 1 in my heart, we've got Tashigi. And Tashigi's doing something which we're not seeing from many of the cards on this list. Actually, the special rares, a bunch of them are doing it, to be fair. But we certainly haven't seen from the originals, and that is, it's going up. Now, don't look at the like $1 at the beginning, that's silly. Look at the fact that it started off at about $40 and it's now about a $53 card. That is what we're worried about here. The beginning of the graph is a little bit of a misnomer because it starts at like $2, which is clearly wrong. But if we have a look at the graph as a whole, this has actually been going up as we go. And the thing is, firstly, Tashigi's just awesome. But also, it is a very playable card. Activate main, rest this character to give one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during this turn. And you've got a counter plus 2k going on here. And these special rares are beautiful, they are sought after, and the pull rates ain't that high. Add it all together, Tashigi's doing very well. And you'll notice there was a pretty big jump from Luffy to Tashigi in a way we didn't have in the first 3. Coming in at number 6, we've got a special rare Porcus the Ace, and I'm just going to tell you now, the special rares are dominating this list. This is a list that is absolutely dominated by special rares. All 6 special rares make the top 10. it is very much a special rare heavy list. And the ace here is sitting at about $53, but it's going the other way. It's still a tiny bit higher than TCG, but it's call it $54, make it nice and easy. But it's heading the other way. Whereas TCG has been going up since release, Ace has just been coming down, honestly, pretty drastically. And I think part of the reason is Ace isn't a very playable card. And that's a bit of an issue. TCG is, Ace isn't. Ace is probably more popular, although I think TCG and Smoker are just cooler generally. But keep an eye on this. Ace is on the way down. It will probably drop below TCG soon. In at number 5, we've got the special rare of Charlotte Pudding. And what we got here is the one from OP-03. And it is, of course, the very playable one. The, as I like to phrase it, generic Big Mum Searcher. When you play it, you can go and get a Big Mum Pirate or a Sanji, which I approve of. So if you're playing Big Mum Pirates, you're going to be playing this as a 4-of. It's not like we've never had other versions of this card, of course, so that is something to bear in mind. But here you've got the combination of Charlotte Pudding, who everybody loves, and the fact that it's a very playable card, and the fact that we've got these, really nice special rare designs in OP-08, and the fact that they've got pretty low pull rates, and that puts it in at number 5. Although at this point, we should probably mention the alt arts generally and the leaders in this set are pretty weak all in. And that does kind of help here. So the special rares are elevated, I think, a little bit more than they normally would be, because we don't have those big other cards in the set. In at number 4, we've got Queen. Again, we're talking about the special rare. Whereas Charlotte Pudding was about $68, for Queen here, we're talking about $78. We've seen a bit of a jump, put it that way. And partly, this is all the stuff I've told you previously, and partly, this Queen is nuts. It's the one from Starter Deck 4, 5 cost, 6,000 power, and you've got blocker, and on play, Don -1, draw 2, trash 1. It is a phenomenal card, and it's one that we really need to be just playing in a lot of purple decks. And it's a starter deck card that didn't have a fancy version, so that kind of explains it. But what you're seeing here is kind of what we saw from Charlotte Pudding, a very similar graph. It did go up quite a bit, but now it is very much on the way down. Charlotte Pudding went up, but is now on the way down. Ace just came down. TCG is the one special rare I've shown you so far that is just consistently going up. So let's show you a couple more. In at number 3, we got Jewelry Bonnie at about $90. And again, if you have a look at the graph of this one, this is a pretty straight up here. No mucking about, and I know there's a couple little fluctuations here and there, but generally speaking, this is just, it's going up. There we go. Just going up quite nicely. And the thing is here, we got Jewelry Bonnie, who is just a fantastically popular character, and if you've been reading the manga lately, you will notice that, well, shall we say she's been a bit front and center. I think her popularity is probably on the up. But we've also got quite a nice card here. Activate main, pay 1, and then look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find a Supernova. It is, of course, the Jewelry Bonnie from Starter Deck 2. It is a generic Supernova searcher, and Supernovas are kind of on a comeback lately. So there is a chance that this actually ends up becoming a little bit better in the future. And then coming in at number 2, we've got the top special rare in the set. It is Gecko Moria coming in at about $96. And you'll notice again, it's going up. Now, don't look at the first little bit of the graph, ignore that. Start from like $70, and then it's gone up to about, well, went up to about 125 and down to 95. So it is below its peak. It is on the way down. And really, things like Jewelry Bonnie and TCG really weren't like that. But it has gone up since release. And this is a weird one because it's not the really good black Gecko Moria. It is the Starter Deck 3 Gecko Moria. However, the Starter Deck 3 Gecko Moria is a 7 Warlords and a C. And it's got a nice little skill where on play you grab a 7 Warlords of the Sea or Thriller Bark character with a cost of 4 or less other than Gecko Moria from your trash to your hand. And in those OP-01 Doflamingo decks, which are making a big comeback lately, this is actually like a legitimate card. And I think a big part of this is essentially people picking this up because they know that card is about to get good. That's my theory. And then at number 1, we got the Manga Rare Silvers Rally. Obviously, we got the Manga Rare in at number 1. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised about that. What I think might be a little bit surprising is just how steep we've actually seen the drop of this card in terms of value. And how low it's gotten and how quickly. It's already sitting there at a $340 card, and that's cheap. That's like really cheap. If we're going by TCG player prices, it's still like $10 more than Soldier King. Yay! But it is at least $100 less than every other manga rare. And a lot less than the good ones. So make no mistake about it, this is, after Soldier King, the second worst manga rare in terms of value. And honestly, they're very close together here. It's just not a great manga rare. It is not one that everybody is desperate to pull. So, sorry about that. But it's still a manga rare, and it's still the number 1 card in the set by a bit of a margin. So there we go. That's what's going on with OP-08. That's what we got in terms of value. It really is pull a special rare. There's a couple old art leaders which are worth pulling, and obviously the manga. But the vast majority of this list is very straightforward. Pull a special rare. There we go. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these cards you pulled. Tell me which of these cards you picked up. If you bought any of these cards, did you get a good deal? Go nuts in the comment section. But be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Lawasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.